Shampoo. Let's
It's
go.
like it's still got a little bit of stuttering, but I think partway through this game it stops. All right, so let's talk about the players here a little bit. Cavell is an amateur player who's been around. He's pretty young. He's been around for like last year and a half or so. And around master-ish, I guess, for past year and a half. He's hit challenger a good couple times. Um, Ethug also like consistent challenger player. Um, always gets it like on several accounts. I'm pretty sure. Um, and yeah, like overall, I've heard really good things about him from any teammate that's worked with him in terms of his attitude. I've been like in contact with him for a while since he first tried going into like pro scene. And yeah, even when he first started playing on his teams, there were people that were pretty surprised about how good his pathing was for an amateur. And he's worked really hard at the game, just in getting better at his macro and team play since joining War. Saligo was like 1-2 combo with this dude named Fef back in the day. They were like an inseparable duo of mid top that always played together, but I guess that stopped at a point. But he's been in and out of, I guess, challenger depending. But there's the only issue about him that's talked about, um, and kind of keeps him from more scouting is the fact that a lot of his elo comes with Elise. So although he is a mid main and he has good showings in it in certain tournaments, a lot of his elo comes from playing really disgusting Elise in solo queue. But for teams, that's just like a little bit less impressive than when someone random is just looking at it because they want you to be playing the same role that you're going to be playing for them in your high ranked solo queue accounts. Tails, longtime player. I coached him at RMU, and he was just exceptional mechanically, and like his attitude, his macro has only gotten better over the last few years. And he was like a last second pickup for Wind and Rain, I believe, and ended up doing really well this tourney, as I hear. So yeah, he was scrimming with the team for like 2 weeks, I think. But for AD, it doesn't matter as much if you're not as practiced with the team itself. Um, but yeah, mechanically, really good player. Plays his matchups out well. Always has pretty high CS. He used to be really good at hyper carries actually when the meta was there for them, but also a really good Sivir and mid game utility slash damage DPS player. Like he has a sick Lucian Sivir as well. Consensual Clown is long time um, Toxin booster legend. Um, gets consistently high like LP on all his accounts and gets to the top of challenger pretty easily. It's just the only thing that's questionable in terms of scouting for him is the attitude and a lot of the. I guess we'll be pretty raw here. Because this is scouting. This is like I'm not gonna baby anybody. But yeah, when you're looking to go into amateur scene or wanting to go pro, that's a big thing. I know he's done less on Twitter lately, which is good. You don't like staying away from social media when you're trying to become a pro early is not bad. Actually, it's usually pretty damn good, like way better than anything else you'll do. Social media matters when you start to have a following, when you actually can like get a viewer base or a fan base. But if you're looking to go straight pro, you should really just focus on your improvement first and foremost. If you want to stream while you do it, cool, but a lot of the times you're going to have to be scrimming anyway, and a lot of people are too tired to stream after scrims or even before. It's usually not a great idea. Um, but yeah, so you don't have to worry too much about your social media presence. Just get good, guys. Um, and then Mateusz, a longtime player as well in the amateur scene, had some good moments with a couple amateur teams, but consistency is his thing. He just needs to be a little more consistent. And then yeah, in terms of if lane swap meta ever comes back, I know that was something he had an issue with in the past when it was meta before. So he loves 1v1 laning. That's what he likes to do. His forte. If he gets a good matchup, he's usually pretty good at it. But in terms of macro, just needs a little bit of brushing up and really needs consistency. Consistency is what a lot of teams are looking for right now in the recruits because it's something that if they have that X factor already, doesn't have to be. It's something that I guess can be taught in solid practice with a really good staff, but it takes more time. It's way less simple than just like regular macro or micro. Um, and yeah, that's about it. So if you can get consistent before you start getting looked at or during, then that's a big plus to teams. Fnatic, he's also young player. A lot of these guys are and have been in the amateur scene for a while. Uh, good rec side, good in Italy. Has a couple really good champs, and then I believe his Olaf's pretty clean as well from what I've seen. Even though that's not as meta these days, but yeah, he also kind of could use some consistency, but in general, has shown like pretty solid games. It's just when you get to amateur, it's a lot about like being proactive, sometimes giving up resources, which he's learned to do more so recently, is what it looks like from at least this game so far. But yeah, you have to be able to give vision to your team and resources if needed, and he used to be a player that would just farm a lot and carry his teams hardcore. So that's just kind of a playstyle thing coming through. I think also a jungler to keep on the radar and maintain um, like you know communications about all of these guys' OPGGs as they go up and down as scouting grounds come up, because that's really big in terms of seeing the consistency as well. Because some guys will literally go from like D3 to 300 LP and back down on any given like 2 to 4 day stretch. So yeah, as long as they can maintain their high elo and you see things that you like out of their play, they're pretty damn good to keep on that checklist. So I did say I was gonna do like some NFL type reviewing of abilities here in terms of the players, but with directed camera um, and kind of the state of the VOD here, because it's still for some reason spinning and not picking the quality itself. Um, yeah, we're probably not going to be able to fully grade everybody. I was going to grade like different things in terms of the micro and macro, CS, map awareness, skirmishing, full 5v5 team fighting, DPS, cooldowns, but it's going to be a little harder here. So we'll see how the games go. There's not much action here. I think because it is 1-1, best of 3 in the match that decides who goes to finals. And that's big too for teams, of course, is that clutch factor and being able to like show up when you need to. Like game 3, best of 3, or game 5, best of 5. There are some guys that just have ice in the veins. Like it just doesn't matter to them what scenario they're playing in. They're just gonna play consistently, and that's what you really want in a player. So okay, Mist, don't know as much about. Have heard good things. But he's kind of an unknown right now, so that's what I'm going to be watching for, as well as Strife. Those are two players I don't have as much experience with. Although, yeah, they've made it this far in the tourney. I've seen them in scrims for some teams before, but we'll see. They are actually kind of countered here, because Sivir is usually with tanks a pretty good pick into immobile AD carries, and they have that 500 CS Sivir win condition, although COG has a scaling too. But overall, I do like these two comps. They are ones that allow the players to shine, or like perform to the best of their ability, depending on how their lane is going. Like, although it is very passive because of what we talked about. So if you gotta play passive for the big prize at the end of DreamHack, then you're going to do it, especially with comps like these. But we're probably going to see some big shit in the mid game, and that's where we're going to look for the micro. In terms of talking about these players, we missed out on the junglers pathings a little bit early game that we could talk about, but we'll see how they path here. And then last guy, or I guess we have the bot lane to talk about for Zenith still. Winter is a player he played on DZG, I think, before. A couple tourney teams where he was like a lot of the times the best player. And yeah, just kind of unknown right now to a lot of scouts and recruiters, but the support pool in NA is very low, and he is definitely one that has maintained Challenger throughout seasons, has never had a problem hitting it or maintaining it, and has been on teams anytime they could get him. I'm not sure how hard he's committing to competitive. I'm sure, like, with franchising coming up and a lot of these players being in a tournament and trying to get their names out there, that he's going to be going for it. But yeah, definitely a player that has shown consistencies in his LP, but can do a little bit more with his champ pool as well, I suppose. He does play a lot of Morg, a lot of Thresh. Yeah, we're still getting stutterers in the stream.
Hmm. Maybe like pause it for a hot sec. Yeah, we should.
Yeah,
Maybe if
we
we
can
like,
buffer.
yeah, we probably should have paused it and then let it buffer for a hot sec and then
Yeah, well, it was spinning the entire time. But anyway,
talking
we were
about that.
talking about just each player as a preface. This is a pretty passive early game. So,
Yeah, it's pretty
all
good.
right, it's
I
stopped
do have to
now.
say one thing
Mhm.
about War's comp though. Like I don't think it I think one problem that they're gonna have is I don't think they're gonna have enough damage in the mid game
Mhm.
to push Sivir to that late game. I think it's gonna be really hard to do it.
Yeah, but the thing is with a full tank comp is you don't always need the damage, like
Hmm.
in mid game, cause you have a lot of
Yeah,
base damages for mid game, and you also have your tankiness.
true.
So yeah, it naturally pushes you into late game scaling. Um, but yeah, so what we want to see out of the builds here, um, for each player, that's one big thing that we could talk about. We could pause it, talk
Hmm.
about the builds for each of them while it buffers, and that's also like big in terms of the decision making, like to get themselves and their team ahead. So for Shen, he is going Bramble Vest first. That's a big disagree. So the reasoning behind that is, although they do have auto attackers in Gnar, in Kog'Maw, in Gnar and Kog'Maw, um, a lot of their damage is magic, and you're not going to have much HP and then pretty much no magic resist um, to make up for that. And that's really the only way that they're going to shred you is with the magic damage that they do have. So you're going to need a little more HP, and then I would say some Merc Treads. So you could go like Sunfire Mercs, and then that way you also kind of keep your lane shoved out against Gnar, and it kills the minions under tower really fast, so they can't dive him as hard as they just did there. So, yeah, obviously he wouldn't have the Sunfire just now, but as you go along, it's easier and easier to dive a Shen that you put behind, and it's easier to kill a Shen that you put behind with the magic damage that you have. So Bramble Vest, dislike. Thornmail, dislike. Here's the rush. Um, for Maokai, obviously got to go trackers. Pretty big meta now for competitive. You're gonna go your Cinder into your tank items. We're gonna see what he builds with them. So here, I think he's gonna wanna Righteous into Locket for the Sivir. The support's not gonna be going them, and then that way you allow your mid and top to go items for themselves. And one thing I would like to see Galio do would be Abyssal Mask, because it just buffs his and Maokai's damage a lot, and then a little bit of Sona's as it goes, which is fine. But yeah, it also means that any damage he's taking is going to be converted into mana. It gives him a lot of sustain in general with his abilities being cast and just like the HP and mana of being able to fight and stay out there. Um, so yeah, Abyssal Mask would be nice on him pretty early, and then that way they do have a little more of that early to mid game damage that they need to bridge. Sivir's gonna go pretty much regular Sivir build, I would say, since he's the only physical damage on his team, and really big for like pretty much the only damage on his team in general as it goes to late game. He's gonna want to probably go Infinity Edge first instead of the um, Essence Reaver. But the thing is, there's certain things that can change that. So when you're talking about amateur, if you can go, sorry, if you can go Essence Reaver and then your finished zeal item into a team that you know, let's say, has really big weaknesses in mid game skirmishing, and you're a team with three tanks, a Sivir, and a Sona, and you can like just absolutely destroy mid game skirmishes with more CDR and just force more of them, um, then I could actually see the Essence Reaver being built here first. And then, yeah, working towards that CDR, get the Sivir ult more often so that you can fight the fights that you want to be taking. Sona's going to go Ardent plus regular, just support build. I'd say Ardent into his Sightstone, into Boots, and then situational, depending on how the game is going. Gnar here is gonna need a cleaver against that comp, so he could go cleaver into probably Merc Treads, somewhere in there in between. Um, Actually, pretty early against Shen and this comp in general. But yeah, so then that way he can get out of CC as fast as possible, soak up as much of it as possible, and still get his um, rotation off when he's in Mega against that comp. Rek'Sai is going to go Cinderhulk into, if he gets big here with the one kill that he does have, he could go a Titanic somewhat early since Gnar is going Cleaver, and then that helps Kog'Maw with physical damage early onto the tanks. And then you can actually win mid game fights by just finessing the team fight there. Like if you do it properly and you have like a Cleaver on a Gnar and some tenacity and tankiness on the Rek'Sai with a little bit of damage, you can actually pull off the Titanic. Or you can even just go Tiamat into more HP. But yeah, I'd say Merc Treads all around for those two tanks. And then when you have Orianna here, so this is pretty big. This is really big. He's going to want to go the Morello. It's good for his CDR, his AP for how much he's paying for it, the mana, etc., etc., etc. Morello first item's great. But then Liandry's. Liandry's is fucking huge. Like, percent damage, they already have some CC on their team, and his QW is CC as it is, as is R. And it's going to do big deeps to a front line that's especially going Bramble Vest right now. And then Kog'Maw, I could see not a Wit's End out of here first. I'd see the Bork here first because, yeah, shit ton of HP damage. So Bork, Runons, as everyone else builds protection for him. Rek'Sai actually totally blanked on the fact that she has a hyper carry. She should go Tiamat into probably Knight's Vow with that one kill, unless if Kog'Maw starts getting pretty big, or they start rounding off the curve where they want him to be able to like survive longer and he gets the Bork. Like depending on when he's gonna finish the Bork here, you could actually finish Knight's Vow before anything else after the Cinderhulk, right after. So yeah, he's supposed to go Bork, Runons, and then situational after that. Depends on how the game is going as well. We'll see how he builds based on the game. And then Morg is she's gonna finish her Sightstone, and honestly, into this comp, probably gonna be something along the lines of Redemption. I would say sit back with the Cog, and then the Rek'Sai will probably still end up getting the Locket. So Morg, the builds right now are a little weird because she's not like an all-in. She's not a full shield support. She does have some peel and pick. But the pick that she gives them is really big. So I would say some CDR would be really nice for her, actually. If she could get, let's say, like a Redemption. I'm not sure what I think he's probably going Thunderlords. So if he could go that after his completed item with this comp, since they're going to have really extended team fights. Like really, really extended. And they can back out and go back in. And although what's happening here, right, is if she does go this, like, Redemption, is she's doing it a little worse than Sona. So, like, in terms of the healing, that job, she, of course, is not going to have the wind speakers backing it up. She's not going to be buffed up with her shields in that regard. But it gives Kog'Maw a bigger E-shield for the tanks that are going to be trying to CC him, which is really, really big. Because these tanks are not going to have magic penetration. They're going to have some AP, but it's not going to be enough to burst a bigger shield. And on top of that, they do get to like re-up and then re-engage if they need to after kiting by healing themselves. So even though in the heat of the moment it might look like a shit decision for Morgana to go something that the Sona is better at, she still has some pick potential to set her aside, and the E shield keeps Kog'Maw like it being buffed and having that extra 10% CDR gives Kog'Maw the ability to do what he needs to do more. So yeah, those are the builds we're going to be looking for. Alright. Let's rewind this. Looks like the whole thing buffered now. Okay, so we have something going on here. I wish we could turn on the Fog of War for blue side, but we can't. We'll be able to see it either way. So Maokai is going towards bot, and I'm not sure if he's shadowing the Rek'Sai here. Actually, yeah, he is, because they pinged the Rek'Sai. So Ethug pinged the Rek'Sai, and he's shadowing them in case of a gank. Now, this is really good, because if Rek'Sai comes in here and looks for the gank and blows that cooldown going in, and then Maokai comes and they turn, that's really big. Like, Rek'Sai can't get out. He doesn't have flash. He used his E already. He could maybe R to keep himself safe, but these guys are going to have to be catching up the whole way. Like Kog and Morgana don't get to do damage, and they're going to have to catch up. Morg has to go around this area in order to fire off her Q. So they're going to be able to instant DPS and turn on the Rek'Sai as they're kiting out, and these guys are just playing a catch-up game. So if he ends up pulling that off, that's really big. But I would like to see Saligo stay here then. They need to call to have Saligo roam, and even if he has to give up this wave or half the wave, and a good back timing for his own lane, just to guarantee this, it's really worth it because it can snowball hard. Since not only if Rek'Sai comes down here and they counter it, would that be a good move? Then that means if Rek'Sai ends up basing and you know that she's gone, you have a 4v2, dude, and this is an easy dive. Like, Ethug can end up just walking straight back here, and then Galio ults on him as soon as they dive, and this is a 4v2, and you get the kill on them. So then you open up two different options for, like, really big plays for your team. By the way, if you guys are following or subbing, I'm sorry, I don't have alerts or anything like that on yet, but I appreciate it a lot. Love you guys. But, yeah, so he ends up basing here, right? And they know that he's going to base. Like, they can wait it out. It looks like they have the vision. But even if they don't, like, they could just wait it out and wait until this is out. Sit here in River, and they still can't see the Maokai. They don't have vision of them. You have, oh my god, dude. You even have the Shen R, even though you won't need it. Like, I don't like pulling the full 5 into bot if you can get it done with 4. And that's why I mentioned, like, the mid roaming down. So, but even if, like, you need a failsafe, you have the Shen R too, where he's already, like, wanting to leave the lane. And he can, like, get out and make that play and have this first tower. Sorry. But, yeah, he gets out of a shitty lane where he's going to end up getting dove and killed. And then they would be able to get the tower and the double kill on bot. Because bots, yeah, really easy to take with 4 or 5 guys after you eliminate them. So that's the move there. Although they are playing a little safer like we talked about earlier because of this. And I'm glad that we actually rewinded a little far. So we got to see this. But yeah, that's what you need these players to be doing. And having, like, you got to have a shot caller that says, we're going to take it. I understand being passive, but at the same time, if you're too passive and you get to a stage of the game where the enemy has, like, if you skip enough win conditions, then there are going to be parts of the game where your enemy, depending on their comp, which they do here on red side, is going to have the opportunity to turn it back around because you skipped win conditions. But it is amateur, and I'm assuming that red side is also going to miss out on some opportunities, like just for the case of being safe, because the game does go 0-0 for so long. Until there's just one very vanilla top lane dive top. But, yeah. So, mechanics-wise, we can't really see much here. The directed camera is just panning over. Jeez, dude, talking a lot when sick and stuffy is inconvenient.
What'd you say?
Just talking while sick is unlucky.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so in not doing this, Ethug ended up being able to go back to his top side and get his blue and then reset in time to go back to his red without it being taken by Rek'Sai. He's on fine pacing. Like, mid and jungle are on better pacing overall technically for their micro because of the fact that they didn't pull off this 4v2 dive, but overall in team macro it would have been way better for them to take that bot lane dive. You really want to neuter the Kog'Maw early. Like, don't let him get to his big spikes where he can actually chunk your team really hard each W he gets in team fight phase. and in skirmishes, Orianna's gonna be huge there as well. So in mid game, they do have a really big mid game. So they want to make sure they can get as many. Oh Jesus, that's how this ended up happening. Yeah, you want to make sure you can get as many big plays and gains off before the Kog'Maw and Ori hit their spikes. Um, what's good for them though is that they do have a pretty good mid-game team fight comp if they like set it up right. It doesn't necessarily have to be with a huge gold lead or with like brute force stats lead. If you set it up right around Dragon, around Nasher, or into like a crevice of the jungle that is really nice for your AOE, and multi CC one after the other, and then Sivir gets all her ricochet damage off, then you're in a really good spot. So we'll have to see that. That's what I like about these comps as mentioned before, like being able to see comps where players have to pull the trigger and make decisions when it comes to skirmishing and team fighting is really nice. This sucks, dude. I hate the video quality on this. I like when I went to another stream where I had to buffer while watching and um like obviously download it like as it's going. When we tested that Shroud stream earlier, it worked fine, but for some reason this VOD is just really laggy. I might have to start buffering beforehand, like buffering games before. Let's try this, see if it's better. It's gonna be pretty shit quality, but if it doesn't stutter, that's fine. Okay. We'll take it for what it is. I'll figure this out though. If I have to get a capture card, it's no big deal at all. And I can just run the streaming off something else so that I can run high quality on this. But yeah, for right now,
It's still not bad. It's still looking okay.
Yeah. Looks like fucking League of Legends old school RuneScape version, dude.
Oh yeah, dude. By the way, I am taking timestamps on in-game time, not the
Yeah, yeah,
timer.
yeah. That's totally cool.
So
Just have the timer in the link be for the game itself, if that's cool. Like, and
game
you could
itself,
do
yeah.
that, yeah, after in the beginning.
Yeah. I'll go back and put all that stuff in, but I did that, and then I'm doing a couple things like whenever you're making note of something, like when you talked about the Maokai Shadow,
Yeah.
East Shadow, I marked that, and then I also marked the First Blood.
All right, sick.
I'm also putting in a couple of my notes on there too because
Yeah, that's
you're
cool,
talking
man.
more about like the bigger picture, and I was looking at like some of the real like the micro mistakes,
Mhm.
like on that First Blood right there. It was
Yeah,
really
this is
really
gonna be
well
big
played
to rewatch.
because of the Gnar ult. Oh, you have the play going on right now, so I'll let you talk about this.
All right, yeah. Yeah, I should have went probably back over that alt with lower quality. I just didn't know why the stuttering was happening. So now that we figured it out, we could break
Yeah,
down
if you
more
want to
things.
rewind it let's see. Uh, yeah, rewind it about 2 minutes,
All
and you
right,
can get back to that First Blood.
I'll go. So it's gonna be 7:29, 7:29:30. Yeah, I'll go to that play right after this one.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So, how did this fight start? We saw a TP. It was out of okay, Saligo. So we got a TP out of Saligo here, and the goal is a catch on the Kog'Maw. All right, Strife fucked that up a bit because between him and Winter, like yeah, the better thing to do is usually to just walk towards the tower and pull them as far as you can before they pull their CC off on you. But he should have just went straight here, dude. If him and Winter had been communicating, he could have came to the wall and then he gets the Maokai or Morgana shield. Um, but okay. So here, Clown is good to go for the kill on the Morg. Because that's really the best thing he can do while pinched here with what his team started. Um, but after he gets the kill there, he's just on live duty. He just has to live and get out towards the team down here, which is good. Um, Saligo is going a really weird path. Actually, no, because this is yeah, the Kog'Maw's completely caught out, yeah, and then Tails can rotate here. So actually, Saligo is going a good path. So Saligo can go here. Right now, Clown, the way the situation is, so this is hindsight and this is paused. What I'm saying is going to be complete ideals, and these players, I don't expect them right now, especially with their experience, to make the snap decisions right as like this is happening. This is hindsight. This is paused. It is the ideal and what they want to work towards and what the players should be doing. But yeah, I honestly and any other player, um, yeah, that you would see in an amateur scene. They're just not going to be uh, pulling off the exact same thing they need to each time, each click. So now it's like, all right, we're winning the fight. Morg's dead. Cog's about to die, and so instead of turning while he keeps running, because he's pulling Fnatic down away from his base and back into the team. If Fnatic at any point moves back, now Clown goes back on the attack. If he has to sacrifice and die for these guys to get the guaranteed kills here, because Ori ends up having to use her cooldowns to kill the Sona, then that's totally fine. Because then you get the Dragon, you get probably mid tower too at least, and then you can base and reset. Or if you want to go for an elongated play, if you can even take Rift Herald with a cheeky champion going up here and then meeting Shen at the Rift when he's done pushing out that wave. But he's having a tough time pushing out that wave because he did not go Cinder into Vest. And then, yeah, the Merc Treads is a big question mark actually here as well against the Gnar early game. When you're getting pushed in this hard to the point that, like, you can't viably even teleport to your team without the enemy top laner getting way too much for it, that's not good. So... yeah, so I did say the Merc Treads would be good on Shen, and I do still believe that, but he should be going tier 1s and then finishing the Cinder at least first before finishing the Merc Treads. Sorry if I didn't make myself clear on that. But yeah, it's just that when you're getting beat this hard and you just have to sit the lane against Gnar, you don't want to have to take something that doesn't 100% help against him. Okay. So, what was the play you wanted to go over? Sorry, it was 7:29:30.
Yeah. No, no, no. Yeah, 7:29:30. It was the first blood
Yeah,
onto
yeah,
the
yeah,
Shen.
yeah. All right, so yeah, now that the VOD is actually working in garbage quality, um, he shouldn't TP there first of all, because that's just like the wave is just gonna be pushing back anyway.
Hmm.
He should TP to the tower if he doesn't see the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, no, there was no vision of the Rek'Sai until the Rek'Sai's in lane on him.
Yeah, and then
Right here, he
it's like
flashes
if
away
he
from the ult, but you look if
yeah,
you look at
Fnatic ends up ulting.
so it was really perfect timing from Fnatic on that Rek'Sai ult. I think that's
Yeah,
like really
I mean
really
that's why
crucial.
yeah that's why you don't blow everything right away,
Hmm.
kiddos. Like in terms of cooldowns, you gotta communicate with whoever you're ganking for, or skirmishing with, or team fighting with, or trading with. All right, I just want to see what Cavell could have done better here.
We aren't gonna see most of it because they were focused on the mid lane
Yeah.
harass.
Okay, so he E'd into Gnar. He E'd into Gnar without vision on that top bush. Fnatic, that was actually a really good decision by Fnatic to come top. Um, because he, I think, realized that Cavell really wanted that wave. And had been maybe Mateusz also told him that Shen's been trading aggressively every time he pushes him in. Because usually you don't get that jungle gank right at that exact time, but that's a really small window that Fnatic actually ended up using. So that's really good by him. Um, okay. So and then we went over that fight. We were
Yeah,
at
we
like
went over that.
we were at what 33 or something, I think.
Yeah, and the whole reason the fight at 11 minutes worked out right here is because they got all bot lane summoners with this 5-man dive. Even though they only got turret for it,
Mhm.
they did lose first blood. They still got the summoners, and then they did a really nice return gank on it. It was really smart.
Yep. Yeah, that's huge, dude. Um, as a small side note for any solo queuers, repeat gank after you've blown summoners. Oh, oof. Just yeah. So those are really good to go for. Oops, I think I went back a little too far. But if you have the corner like they did of Fog of War, you guys couldn't see that because this is like Fog of War for both teams. instead of just blue. But they were here and they were in complete darkness from Tails' vision. And so the Morg, like this is probably something Winter does a lot with Thresh and Morg queues. So that's good to see. But he was in Fog of War and then he sent it in the line to where he knew Sivir was going to end up. And yeah, Tails didn't have enough time after seeing it to reasonably like react to it. But that's also why you have to be really careful when walking around corners into Fog of War because you're gonna get hit by those skill shots. All right, so Galio went Abyssal Mask, or no, it's not Abyssal Mask. It's the what's it called? Spectre's the helm. Um, so he went the Adaptive Helm. I don't know about that because there are going to be a lot of different spells actually hitting you at the end of the day, and the only thing that he's really building that for, I think, is the Kog'Maw W. Um,
Yeah.
and you're still going to be taking, especially from Ori's Leandries, a lot of damage. So I think you want a little more HP than what Adaptive Helm gives, and then you're also not really buffing up your damage by going Helm instead of the Abyssal. Um, so yeah, like here, if he has Abyssal, I think he kills Cog, or at least makes him burn Cleanse, because he would have done a lot of like more damage with his initial burst. Um, but yeah, we'll see if he ends up building it or what.
Right. He's
I
got to by the end of the game.
One thing that's worrying trend is Gnar being a level down on Shen, especially when yeah he's been bullied out this hard by the Rek'Sai. Gnar should also be way more CS than the Shen. Like one thing you have to have in a matchup where you're range versus melee, unless it's like a melee counter, um, is higher CS. And that's a problem that a lot of laners have in amateur where they trade a lot because they feel like they have to put on the pressure to the point that they end up missing minions because the wave is shoving. Um, and they're just not last hitting. Like you can't just straight up ignore last hitting. Um, because that's going to help you get to the item spikes that are going to help you actually win. Like, okay, you took trades as Gnar and you bullied out Shen, not even enough to get higher CS over him, and now he has the goal to continue playing this game, and you don't have the goal to just abuse the shit out of him. So, yeah, who's the real winner here, bud? Not the lane bully.
I would say the Shen, even though he's
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
down. Yeah.
you should have way more CS as Gnar. Okay, let's see how this shove goes. This should be tower take. Uh, I feel like they could have forced that. They had seen Sona and like if they had counted down the time that it would actually take Sona and Sivir to come bot, then they would have known that they could just take it and get out. But low risk for the big series, that's fine. 1-3-1 is questionable here, because
Yeah.
so that's what they've set up. Like Zenith has here set up a 1-3-1 with their proactive phase. Like they didn't answer a 1-3-1, they set up a 1-3-1, which is really weird to see and might end up costing them this game if they continue because like Wind and Rain has a perfect 1-3-1 comp. Like it's Shen, Galio, and the AD wave clearer in mid lane with a sustained Sona, and Maokai can roam to make plays because he has instant CC. So yeah, like I'm not sure what the thinking is. Maybe that Rek'Sai can like get there a little faster than Maokai to make something happen in the side lanes, but even then it's questionable because you're not going to be able to just like Rek'Sai, especially you building full tank, is not going to be able to come into a side lane and just kill the Galio or the Shen. It's just not something that's going to happen.
I think one of the things that we missed was I don't yeah I don't necessarily think that it was Zenith that set it. I don't recall perfectly, but I don't think Zenith set up the 1-3-1. I think they had Cog Morg top lane or they had Cog top lane, and then Galio went up to set up his 1-3-1 because they were sending Shen to the bot lane while they um
Oh my
while
god.
War yeah.
Wait. So, okay, I was gonna say then the answer to that is to send Cog top,
Mhm.
especially because he should have Bork by now, but he built Ginsu's. I didn't
Yeah,
realize
yeah,
he was building Ginsu's. That's really
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Against
Still.
three full tanks that like once you have Bork Runons, you're literally dealing with your bolts, extra percent HP damage.
Mhm.
That's a big dislike. I think it's Bork into Runons for sure here. So that's very strange. Yeah, they should have kept Cog against the tank, especially since the dragon was down at the time. So
Mhm.
yeah, it should have been like a 3-1-1. But I would never 1-3-1 into Shen Galio like this, dude.
Um. All right. So looks like Nar TP'd at the very end of his mega to try
Ooh.
to
Okay, so
make a play.
Till's got caught there. Happens, but gotta be really careful with the long morgue binding. Like he's just gonna sneak it in. That's what they need. They literally need picks.
Yeah.
Um,
Like they're cleaning up right now, but can you
so
imagine Kog'Maw with a
whew.
Blade of the Rune King in this fight right here?
Yeah, I mean either way, the fight started because of a pig under the tower, so they're gonna win it. You're right, but yeah,
Mhm.
that's one of those classic examples of just because it went right doesn't mean it was right initially. Um, Bork is definitely better here mathematically against these three tanks.
That was a really good call to go to as well.
Hmm. Plus, if you have more physical damage, that's being buffed up by the fact that Nar has Bork or not Bork, fucking Cleaver, so he's
Mhm.
cutting down people's armor, whereas their magic resists to staying flat.
That was a pretty big swing. Oh boy.
Hmm. Audio,
I
video, all that's still good. Everything Gucci.
yeah, I don't have the audio on because I don't want to double hear voices, but I'll check.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe you can. I don't know if Q turn down. Oh yeah, just go into the Discord server and turn down my user volume
Okay.
because it's still kind of overpowering you when I start to talk.
All right. One sec. Yeah, I'm just gonna turn your
Right, so
volume
they
down a
send
little
three
bit.
tanks top to go get that top tower, and they're rotating Siversona up as well.
All right, this should be good.
Oh.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I just want to like talk about that Cloud Dragon on the back of on the back end of that. I mean, it was not like it wasn't the best dragon, but I think it was a dragon that was better denied from war in terms of Zenith.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, with this ADC comp, and it's really mobile. You
When
have
the map,
the
yeah, when the map
yeah.
opens up to the fact that like there are no outer towers, Cloud Drag actually becomes pretty damn efficient, especially after its buff. Like moving around the
Mhm.
map, you get to places faster, and people actually don't notice it as much. But in amateur, it's fucking huge, man. Like it's really big. So I actually like what Tails has done here because he needs the immediate DPS, and he's going Essence into IE, but he gets a Brawlers in the middle because that gives you the full 30% with the Essence. So when you have Crit Cloak and a Brawlers, you have the full extra 30% CDR from Essence. Um, and yeah, that's very good. I like that. Not a lot of ADCs go like for the most efficient build right as it is. Like a lot of times they go for some cookie cutter shit like finishing a Zeal right away. But this is good by him.
Gotta love those cookie cutters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he has enough attack speed at this point in time too, with um with the tier 2 boots as well.
Mhm. Yeah, tier 2s give you a shit ton of attack speed, especially after their buffs.
But yeah, this is also what I was like talking about in terms of like how the comp was earlier.
Hmm.
Um, with as soon as that server dies, like this entire comp is the mid game is all about Tails positioning, and if Tails get caught, like we saw, they
Yeah,
just
it's over.
lose
They can't.
everything.
Like, if Sivir dies, Kog'Maw can literally just stand in place with the Ori and Morg shields and win the fight, pretty much. Um, so yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one
So
thing he has to be most careful of is the ricochet damage. Alright, this is really nice. So they're gonna end up getting the Snatcher, like, pretty much for sure. Um,
yeah, they
because I don't
have
see
no.
anyone.
Yeah.
If it's just Cog, they need to just keep going. And that's a nice call to come back in the game. Finish, 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 finish. Oh shit, dude. All right, so those are the calls that we like to see. I want to know who's the shot caller for each team, honestly, after watching this game, because there were big discrepancies. That was a really good flash by Consensual Clown to get out of the Rek'Sai ult. But yeah, so that is that's the game. Holy shit, that's like pretty much the game, dude. Although so
Holy
Zenith has
moly.
1K more right now, still, if you guys can't
Hmm.
see. But
Yeah.
with this comp and the fact that they're about to take towers and get over in gold, that's pretty much the game, yeah. All so right now, all Wind and Rain has to do, considering they have a lot of melees on their comp and it is hard for them to siege right away, is take as many towers as they can before the reset, and then after the reset, you're gonna want to go into like the inners, kill the inners. You can split Shen on the far side. That's fine, and then go for the inner elsewhere, and then flip flop it after. Keep vision on the primary spots or the prime spots at this stage that you would need them at, like here. So get like all these lanes covered. This is too big
Honestly, I
actually. I
disagree with
need.
that decision right there that they did to go into to try to like push into the base. I don't think
Yeah,
the
they
damage
should have
they did on
reset.
that tower was
It
there.
doesn't matter. Yeah,
Oh, they
that did.
didn't even need to reset. They could have went top then reset it. There was no objectives on the map. If you rewind it a little bit,
No,
you'll see
I
it.
think I think the reset is better because they have the empowered recall, and then they get to use more of the
Oh, true.
Nasher phase with like items that they've bought with the gold from it. You know what I mean? And it's way more guaranteed
Yeah,
to enter
yeah.
instead of like let's say if Nar TP's behind while they're still low and
Hmm.
unbought, it could get tough. But yeah, and we've seen like actually the Sona has helped the team a shit ton because they've been able to stay out on the map for longer, just in general, and then end up turning things even with some of the plays that they made that were questionable. This is a really bad engage by Nar because although it looks fancy and he can get the 5 man, they're not going to be able to finish the kills because his DPS isn't there.
Yeah,
So,
there's. Yeah, that wasn't even 5 man. That was 4 man right there.
all right. So, what I liked about this game, top was kind of iffy. Uh, there were a lot of things I'd like to see improvement on from both guys, but um, overall, like they did TP when they needed to, played with their team as well as they needed to. Other than I guess like a lot of this game was on Nar with his matchup, with his lane matchup, and on the solo lanes in general to keep up their pressure and priority. But yeah, it's very hard when the Nar doesn't have a significant lead in the mid game to split push against the Shen with, and then you end up just team fighting, which blue side won with in their comp. It's the mid game skirmishing. So okay, um, the Galio played pretty well, but there's a lot that I'd have to still see. In terms of like the micro, I can't really speak on much of it at all, just because of the director camera and how little we saw. Um, for Mist, I would say he needs to just work on champ pool. That's about it. I saw good things from him this game. I think he can punish a little harder, but one thing I have heard is that he is very Orianna reliant. A lot of games, so yeah, need to be able to do something else. I think as well, but he did maintain good, not only good KD but also positioning, etc. throughout the game when his team was losing. So props to him for that. In the jungle matchup, so I think Fenati is still pretty carry oriented in his play, in his play style, in his head, and he's pretty good at that at this level. But I think if he's gonna do that, he needs to build that way as well, or he needs to just play like a competitive jungler. In getting like out vision and giving resources. These two trackers, we should rarely ever see those up. Um, but yeah, Ethug ended up like playing the Maokai, got the surefire things for his team, and then this 70 CS lead just disappears because they're both full tank, and because Maokai has natural tankiness and sustain anyway. So yeah, glad to see the macro decisions by Ethug here in this game actually. They were pretty good, and then there's just a couple times where he can just say, "All right, we got to pull the trigger," which hopefully I hope he's learning in the Echo Fox boot camp right now. I think that's where he is right now in one of their houses. So,
I'm
um,
pretty sure that's where he's at too.
and then Tails, only issue was just one or two bindings that were questionable, but he very much like adapted after that and realized, okay, I can't do that one more time in this game, which is good, and it's good by his team to be able to stay with him and keep him up in that regard after that mid game fight and getting caught. And the Nasher was obviously very big, but I do like his micro, and I do like the way he's built this game a lot actually. So Consensual Clown, the micro is very good. Just like we said before, the attitude is all we really need to see
That was a
change.
good spell shield there.
Yeah, and then some macro stuff. Then we have the bot lane for Zenith. Strife's build was very questionable. In terms of the getting dove, they could have backed off a little earlier when they knew that they were getting shoved and they didn't have vision. And then Winter, I like the Qs. I think you got to do something other than just make picks as your big thing in competitive. He has pretty good laning and he makes picks really well, but he also needs a couple other things to solidify his play in terms of his micro and macro. Like let's say his skirmishing was kind of iffy in terms of positioning in one of the fights we watched. Um, and yeah, overall, I think he can do more than just be the really good pick bot that he is. And if a team needs someone that fits that role in terms of the picks and everything, then very good. And they can build him that way. But that's not the case for a lot of sports right now. You need guys that can play the meta in terms of healing, in terms of like if you're not playing a healing support, then you're playing a tank that can engage. Um, so yeah. Um,
All right.
I'm glad to have went over that game because I did see a lot, and in terms of the team fights and the timestamps we took, they're gonna help in the
Yeah,
spreadsheets.
I have to go through and get a couple more of the timestamps, but yeah.